Twitter and Instagram. This is the Street to Studio show, our weekly youth show dedicated to listening to the views of young people and really engaging them in active, meaningful conversations. So this is our last Street to Studio show. Ramadan is fastly coming to an end, and well, we've decided to take things a little bit slowly today and just take a bit of time to just reflect and think about Ramadan and life post-Ramadan. So the young people who are joining us today have taken some time just to do a bit of preparation in advance of today's show. And I have to say, it's been so much fun, and it's been great having such a good bunch of young people on the panel. Alhamdulillah, you know, not only have they shown a high level of intelligence and maturity, but it's also fair to say that they have demonstrated wisdom in their words, and have been a true inspiration to a lot of people who've been listening. So the feedback's been great. And I just wanted to say that it's an absolute joy working with these young people, and I don't really want to leave my thank yous to the last minute at the end of the show, so I'm going to do the thank yous now. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Amira, Sanad, Dahir, Bashira, Galeem and Mariam, all the young people who have supported the work of Ramadan.fm Leicester and gave up their valuable time to make a difference by participating in the Street Studio show. And just wanted to say, Amira, Galeem and Mariam, they can't join us today because they're busy revising for upcoming exams after what has been a very sort of turbulent couple of academic years, bless them. So just a little dua, Allah, give them barakah in their time, give them the ability to retain their knowledge, and ultimately give them success in their exams, inshallah, ameen. And just want to say, we already missed you guys. It feels quite lonely today. So yeah, thank you to the young people. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in and listening and contributing with your comments, but also the feedback. I think it's been really positive and a real encouragement for everyone that's involved. And just wanted to say thank you to the team here at Ramadan.fm, Yusera, Akil, Zed, and all the social media volunteers as well. Thank you. It was my first time on radio, and you guys have all been great. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, I wanted to say a big thank you to my beautiful family and friends, especially my husband, who's been extremely patient, but also for all your support and encouragement. My mother-in-law, thank you for all your beautiful sound advice. And of course, my father for always being an inspiration. So, inshallah, Allah preserve the bonds, bless all the people who have contributed to the show in a small or big way, inshallah, ameen. And now that's done, the important bit as well. I didn't want to leave that to the last minute. We'll start our show. So over the past few weeks, we've been discussing some topics that have been important to young people. We covered a few big ones, to be honest, in a very short space of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call in Bashira. Assalamu alaikum, Bashira. How are you? Bashira?
Walaikum salam.
Ah, there you are.
I'm
You abandoned me. Oh, alhamdulillah. I'm good. Are you pleased that it's the last show, or are you going to miss it?
I'm gonna miss it. It was fun. It's fun doing this. Like,
I'm so pleased to hear
opinions and that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so for the benefit of the people who haven't tuned into previous shows, Bashir has been with us since the start. She's participated on the youth panel and contributed to some very interesting discussions, and obviously shared her own opinions and thoughts and her own experiences, which have been very, very powerful. Like I said, we've covered some big topics, and it's not always been easy, but you know, they've done a great job, and Bashir included. So Bashir, thank you for actively engaging and volunteering and supporting a local community project like this. You know, it's really important that young people are getting more involved in the show, and you know, just supporting local initiatives collectively, and definitely a lot of conversations around this is happening behind the scenes here at Ramadan.fm. Bashira, just to sort of give a bit of an intro to yourself and a bit more about what your motivations were, why did you decide to volunteer this year? What was it that you were hoping to gain?
I guess so. When obviously I first heard about the show, I was like, yeah, like this sounds really interesting, because like quite a lot of the topics that we've discussed, like these are topics that like I talk about on a daily, and topics that I'm passionate about, but I don't really talk about like the Islamic side of things. And like one of the reasons why I done this show was to kind of gain an insight myself on the Islamic side of things as well, because that like I said, like it doesn't get talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. Yeah. anything else? Sorry, I feel like I interrupted you there whilst you were
No,
in
yeah.
No, that's really interesting. I think, in my experience of working with young Muslims particularly, often you find that it is really difficult to integrate sort of everyday life with Islam, and actually just sort of taking a step back and recognizing that our Islam is a very big part of our life, and it should be a joint up conversation whenever we're facing difficulties, I guess. So thank you for sharing that with us. What have you most enjoyed about your experience with volunteering for Ramadan.FM in Leicester?
It's literally just hearing the opinions of so many different people. Like everyone who was on the panel, like they're so like smart, intelligent, and they had their opinions, and they weren't afraid to like talk about it, share it, and it led to like a really nice discussion,
Yeah.
and I really really enjoyed that bit.
I have to say, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, sometimes you almost forget how young you guys are and how very little sort of life experience you have, but yet so much wisdom behind your thinking, but also the honesty about recognizing, actually, yeah, I haven't thought about this in this way before, and taking that time to reflect, which is it's really powerful. I suppose it's something that, we encourage people to do more often, and particularly within Islam. There's a big part of just contemplating, right, as part of worship. So I think I've definitely enjoyed the show for that reason particularly as well. Okay, so let's go back to week one. Week one, we discussed social media. That was a topic, and we looked at the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are your reflections on that show?
So social media isn't everything. Like most of the times you see on there, like they're not true, or they're not the full picture. People are just showing you the good side of the life. Like I said, they're not showing the full picture. They aren't showing like all the behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to say that, like, like firstly, like, just like give a bit of like my own advice kind of thing. Like, firstly, like, don't compare yourself to what you see online, like, because literally 99% of the time, like, not even 90, just 99, like 99.99999%, like, it's literally like, it's like what you're seeing is not true. That's not the true picture. Like, everyone is beautiful. You don't need to be like slim, trim. You don't need to have like that hourglass figure kind of thing. Most of the time, those kind of people, they just know how to pose. They know how to pose in the right way, kind of thing. They take that picture in the morning. When everyone has their morning skinny kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that's literally what it is. It's like everyone is beautiful in their own way. Everyone is beautiful. Like, you don't need to look like that. You don't need to compare yourself to all those kind of people.
Yeah.
Secondly, like, sort out who you follow, and I feel like that's such a big thing. Like, following certain people, certain accounts, that can have like a massive impact on you, and like it can sometimes like affect you negatively, especially if kind of the stuff they're putting out there is kind of negative.
Yeah.
So like kind of like go through your following, remove that person or remove that account if you're like, what, I don't agree with you, or what, like, I don't think that what you're saying is correct.
Yeah.
And just remove that negativity, because you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's not worth the ag, and it's not worth like the mental health like deterioration.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. You've raised some really interesting points there. And actually recognizing that your own self-worth and not comparing yourselves to others is really the key for contentment. And actually one of the things that a lot of adults empathize with, particularly with young people growing up in this day and age, is that you're constantly bombarded with what is the ideal, what is the perfect. And actually it's much more difficult to find that level of contentment sometimes when you just feel like there's others who are in a similar situation, similar age, but somehow their lives look so much more different. One of the things about the social media session, particularly for me, that stuck out was actually that, it's a tool like anything else, and it's how we use it that makes it good or bad or ugly, I guess. And it all goes down to the intention with which we're sort of using this tool. And I think you've made a good point about who you're following. Is that something that's helpful to you or not? Is it making you feel better or worse about yourself? That kind of thing. That's really important. But also, it's about the content that you're posting and how you might feel. What's the intention behind posting something on social media, and how can you make that meaningful and positive, I guess. So, we see some brilliant stuff happening on social media, and we get to find out about what's happening in other parts of the world via social media. It's a really powerful tool, and in the same breath, and with anything, as with anything that's powerful, it does have its pitfalls, and we just have to always be mindful about how we use this as a tool. So yeah, social media one was a big topic. Really enjoyed that one actually, and unpicking it with you guys. Okay, so week 2 then we covered mental health. We were looking at mindful or mindful, and yeah, that was a bit of an interesting conversation as well. What are the key take-home messages you would like to share from that session?
That remember, like, it's okay to have bad days. Like, you don't need to be 100% okay 100% of the times. Like, like sometimes you just need to take a mental health day, like relax, de-stress, like don't worry about anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
Which is important to look after your mental health. Like, I feel like that's what quite a lot of people like neglect is the looking after yourself part. Like, like they're so worried about other people, so worried about looking after other people, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, that's a really good thing, but you can't look after them if you're not looking after yourself.
100%, yeah. That's great advice, and I think a lot of listeners definitely will be able to relate to that whole self-care part of it, and maybe recognizing that we do neglect ourselves often. When we're not in the right headspace, often that can manifest in ways in terms of our behavior towards others, and just our general mood. You've mentioned like sort of taking time out, having like a day to yourself, doing something for yourself. What kind of things do you typically do on your sort of well-being day, I guess?
Well, with me, I'll probably like get comfortable like in my bed, watch a TV show, watch a movie, maybe like have some like comfort like ice cream foods kind of thing, or just relax, like just do what I want to do. Like, like don't stress about timings, don't stress about doing anything on time. Just kind of take the day as it comes. Do I want to do it? No, I won't do it. If I want to do this, I'll do this kind of thing. That's just kind of what you need to do, because I feel like we're so used to like a structure, a timeline, like, oh my god, I gotta get this done by this time, I gotta do this then, like, that kind of thing. You kind of like, you just need to like let loose sometimes, like just let loose, relax, let whatever happens happen. Like you can't change what's gonna happen.
That's really powerful actually. Sometimes it's drowning out the noise and just recognizing that some days you will be super efficient and that's fine. But other days you definitely need to just catch up and regain your energies and do something that is a little bit more relaxing, enjoyable, and that's okay, absolutely. Okay, so then mental health, that's a big one, and again, we probably didn't have enough time to properly unpick that, but the following week, this was last week's show, we talked about gender equality, and we were really looking at whether that's like a myth or reality, and really how gender stereotypes, that's the big thing that we were looking at, how gender stereotypes can impact how sort of boys and girls are treated or men and women are treated. What did you take away from that show?
You know what, like I'm going to be real with you. Gender stereotypes, they're always going to be there.
Right.
It's always going to be an issue, but what we need to do is try and work to try and like get rid of it as much as possible, because it's like gender stereotypes come from so many different places. It comes from like culture, it comes from like, it starts at a young age kind of thing. It's like, it can happen in schools, it can happen in the workplace. It just comes from so many different aspects. So like realistically, I don't think you'll ever get like rid of, but that's what we need to like try and work on, like try and get rid of the issue, like slowly, if that makes sense. Like, you know what, like if you want to do something that isn't like typically your gender doesn't do it. If you want to do it, like don't think about what other people are doing. Like if it's allowed in Islam, then do it. And like it will be scary, but if you enjoy it, that's what matters. Like you need to do it. And if people are like, oh my god, why are you going into that? Oh my god, why are you doing it? Like you're having fun. As long as you're having fun, you need to do it. Like you should do it, kind of thing. And I feel like another way to like kind of like help like tackle these gender stereotypes is like it's starting from a young age, because I feel like gender stereotypes are reinforced from such a young age. So for example, you see like a baby boy playing with dolls or like Barbies or whatever, let him. If you see a little baby girl like playing with like cars or like, you know, like the building toys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let her, like, this is like, that's another thing that like, it's, oh no, like you're a boy, why are you playing with dolls for? You're a girl, you know,
Yeah.
like, why are you playing with the cars kind of thing. I feel like that's such a like, that's such a thing that needs to be like, that needs to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's a child, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
let them play with whatever they play with kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And you're right. I think a lot of these stereotypes does start from a young age. And that and one of the things that as we were sort of unpicking and discussing the topic, it was a real recognition that sometimes when these stereotypes exist, it actually limits us as individuals, and really dictates what our true potential is. I guess that's probably the best way of putting it. We kind of box ourselves and say, actually, no, as a woman or a female, this isn't appropriate. But actually then we're not really exploring our true potential. And one of the things we discussed towards the end of the show was that, you know, within Islam, a lot of these modern day stereotypes do not exist, you know, and women were empowered back then, and the message is still the same, and we still should, recognize that, you know, for men particularly as well, they've got such a diverse skill set and how they can utilize that to support themselves as individuals, their immediate family and their like family and wife and kids, but also the extended family. And there's a lot there that, you know, demonstrates that, you know, these things didn't exist back then, and it was a fully functioning society, and people were confident in their own skin, I guess. So there you go. That's a big summary, quick summary from Bashira. Mashallah, you've done really well with that. Thank you so much for sharing your reflections. If there's anyone listening and missed the previous shows, they are available on our Facebook and YouTube channels, I guess. And you might want to catch up. But if you're listening to this and anything sort of resonates with you, or you want to share some comments or thoughts, please do text in on 0774 8855 We'd love to hear your comments. I mean, in previous shows, it's been great engaging with the listening audience. So, yeah, if you are listening in today and you want to share some thoughts, or just, you know, show your appreciation for the young people on the show, please do message in. We're going to be going for a short break in a little while. And after the break, we'll have Dahir joining me in the studio, and then Sana, who's going to also share a short piece, something she's been working on to share her thoughts when we're thinking about reflecting on Ramadan. I guess, Bashira, thank you once again. You've been brilliant at unpicking tricky topics, and actually demonstrated a real commitment week on week, despite sometimes me being quite last minute with things. So thank you for your patience on that. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the conversation?
I feel like there's one. I feel like there's one thing I would add to like the mental health bit is. So there's one thing that someone told me, and it's like, don't let your mood affect your actions, but let your actions affect your mood. And that's kind of like, it's a bit of like a weird statement, but let me explain it to you. Like, so for example, if you have like you've planned like an outing with your friends, but you wake up that morning and you just don't feel like it, you feel really crappy, it's like, oh, I don't want to go kind of thing. That's letting your mood affect your actions, because you're going to cancel.
Right.
But instead, go out with your friends and like try and have some fun on that, and let your actions affect your mood. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Absolutely, it makes sense. Yeah. Is this something that you've tried to be more conscious of?
Yeah, and it has helped a lot. Like, you know what, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, like I can't be bothered kind of thing, or like I don't like, or like on days where I'm feeling particularly down, it's, you know, it's one of those things I'm like, no, I have to like get up, like otherwise then you kind of just get stuck in a rut. And it's hard to climb out of that rut sometimes. And you kind of got to like push yourself and be like, no, I'm gonna go and do this, and I'm going to feel better kind of thing. And it works.
It works. And actually, you know, just to add on to that before we do go for our break, you know, we can never underestimate how important and big these feelings are for anyone suffering from sort of low-level mental health issues like anxiety or depression, because you know, it can just take over you know, your mindset when you just don't feel like doing anything, and the motivation to do things just doesn't exist. And you know, I suppose, Bashir, you're in a position where, you know, you've sort of, it's a lived experience. You know the difficulties associated with you know, these mental health issues, and this is advice coming from someone who's sort of going through it sometimes, and really
Yeah.
recognizing that, you know, these challenges exist. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a brilliant point. And actually, you know, people, we shouldn't patronize individuals when they are struggling in this way, because it's a very real lived experience. And you know, hopefully we're becoming more aware of mental health issues, so inshallah, you know, we can be more supportive of one another in this way, and recognize that actually that motivation is probably the most important thing. That first step of like, yes, you can do this, and you will, and your mood will change as a result of it. It's really, really powerful. And thank you again for sharing that, because it's good advice actually. And recognizing that sometimes our energy levels drop, but we do need to pick ourselves up. And there's always a recovery. That's the key thing. There is always a recovery. If we have a bit of time later in the show, I will share a story that I recently read, which is a good one, about how we respond to different situations. But we'll go for our ad break now. Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Ramadan Radio on 87.9 FM. You are listening to the Street Studio show with me, Nabillah, and a panel of young people. Before the break, we were reviewing the previous sessions and the discussions we'd had, and Bashira's views on what she's taken away from those sessions, and obviously her volunteering experience as well. Thank you, Bashira. I'm now joined in the studio by Dahir. Dahir has also joined the conversation the past few weeks. And again, one of our younger participants, but brilliant, articulate, and really mature, I guess. Assalamu alaikum, Dahir. How are you today?
Walaikum salam. I'm good. How are you, Auntie? How are you, Auntie Nabillah?
Good, thank you. Okay, so Dahir, how old are you?
I'm 14.
14?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're late joining us today because you were playing a football match.
Yes, correct.
How did that go?
All right.
Go on.
Wasn't the best.
You're itching to tell me something now.
Yeah, I scored.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, scored free kick.
How long have you been playing football for?
Ooh, since I was about 5, 4. Yeah. Even before then, I was playing as well.
Okay, so who's your big team that you follow?
That's fast. Put Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspurs. If there's any Tottenham Hotspurs fans out there, please message in and give him some encouragement, because Dahir has got a little task, which he's probably not prepared for, because we were having a bit of a joke yesterday, weren't we? Mm-hmm. And I said to him that if you get 5 questions right about Tottenham Hotspur, I will buy him a chaiwala. He said, that's a deal. And I said, great, let's do this before you do your Nat recitation. So like I said, they're not difficult, but if you're a real fan, you'll get all 5 right.
Inshallah.
Okay, and no cheating.
I'm ready.
Okay. Your first question is,
yes,
quite easy. Oh. What part of London are Tottenham Hotspur from? North, south, southwest, or Birmingham?
North, that's what I'd say. North.
Correct.
North London. Yeah, okay.
Okay. The second one is, what's the animal on the Tottenham Hotspur logo?
It's a cockerel.
Oh, before I even gave you the multiple choice. Brilliant.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. Look, he's very confident now.
No,
okay.
I'm not. Don't give me
Complete the lyrics to this.
Oh, no.
Spurs song, okay? Glory, 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 Tottenham Hotspur.
Glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur.
And
glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur. Glory, glory. And the Spurs go marching on.
Bingo. I was not expecting you to sing it, but hey-ho, there we go. Yeah. Bonus from Dahir. Excellent. I had multiple choice answers ready for you. So that's 3 out of 3. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah,
let's see. Okay. Who's the Spurs' greatest ever goal scorer?
Okay.
Hint. They scored 266 goals in their career. Okay.
Okay.
Harry Kane, Gary Lineker, Jimmy Greaves, or Son Heung-min? I hope I said
Son Heung-min. No, it's Jimmy Greaves. It's Jimmy Greaves.
Jimmy Greaves. Correct. 4 out of 4. Okay, so if he gets the next one right, jaiwala on me, okay?
Jaiwala, yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's make this a little bit difficult.
No.
Okay, when Spurs signed Tanguy
and Ndombele.
That's the one.
Yeah.
In 2019, they broke a record. What record was it? Most expensive player ever joining the team, cheapest player ever signed by the team, most kebabs ever eaten as a celebration,
what?
Or fastest signing of any player ever?
No, it was around £40 million, I think. It was the most expensive one.
Goodness, there you go. Yeah. True and proper Tottenham Hotspur fan. Yeah. If any of your uncles ever tease you ever again, you can go back to this quiz. Exactly, I got 5 out of 5, and I got a chaiwala to prove it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That was
Thank
successful.
you. Okay, so Dahir, you're a big footy fan, play football, and you're also becoming a Hafiz. Inshallah, yeah. How's that all going for you?
It's going good, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, and I was expecting you to say a little bit more on that one.
It did. I don't know.
How do you balance it, school and doing your hifz work?
I think I have a set time and I have to pray, so it makes it much easier.
Yeah.
So I pray in the morning and the evenings. If I have a set time rather than just ringing or praying to my Hafsa whenever I feel like it, is much more difficult. So the fact that I can choose that when he tells me when I have to pray is much better.
Brilliant.
So I have a schedule for the
There
day.
you go. Buzzword schedule. If you've got a lot going on in your life, make sure you have a schedule.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's really important actually to be able to manage your time like that and also have some time for yourself. What do you do when you've got a bit of time to yourself?
I do loads of things else. I play computer games.
I'm really putting you on the spot today.
I can understand. So I play computer games. I watch football.
Yeah.
Of course, I play football. annoy my sisters. I do loads of things. Yeah.
Okay, let's not talk about that side of stuff. Sana is on the line. She'll hear everything. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'm not going to delay you any further. Dara, you prepared a nat that you want to recite today, inshallah. So I'll hand over to you, and then after your recitation, we'll go to Sana, and Sana will share some thoughts on Ramadan and share a poem as well, inshallah. So when you're ready, Tahir, I will hand over to you.
Bari sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah wa sallam alayka ya Habiballah. يا إمام الرسل يا سندي الله الله أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنيا يا وآخرتي الله الله يا رسول الله خذ بيدي ما رأت عين وليس ترى مثل طه في ورى بشر خير من فوق الثرى طاهر الأخلاق والشيم يا إمام الرسل يا سندي الله الله أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنيا يا وآخرتي الله الله يا رسول الله خذ بيدي قسما بالنجم حين هوى ما المؤفى والسقيم سوى فاخلع القونين سوى حب مولى الأرب والأجم يا إمام الرسل يا سندي الله الله أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنياي وآخرتي الله الله يا رسول الله خذ بيدي قمر تابت سريرته وسجاياه وسيرته صفوة الباني وخيرته أدنى أهل الحل والحرم يا إمام الرسل يا سندي الله أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنيا يا وآخرتي الله يا رسول الله خذ بيدي.
Mashallah, mashallah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is that one of your favorites?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you know anything about it?
I know that it's about the nur of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Mashallah. Okay, so just to correct myself then, it's not a nat sharif that you've cited, it's a qasida, and qasidas are sort of traditional poems in the Islamic world. They follow like a certain rhythm and a beat, and often are praising certain individuals or describing certain situations as well. So thank you for sharing that. I thought you were going to recite something else, so that was a nice surprise. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Sana, who is the third person on our show today, young person on our show today. Sana, assalamu alaikum, are you there?
Yeah.
Wa alaikum salam. What did you think of Dara's performance then?
Really well, alhamdulillah. He did really well.
Okay, so Sana, I'm going to hand over to you because I think you've just prepared, so I'm not going to interrupt that. Are you okay just to take over from me?
Yeah, that's cool, alhamdulillah.
Perfect.
So I'm going to be reading a poem about Ramadan, and just some background. To really understand the poem, you need to see Ramadan as a metaphorical guest that is present in our homes for a whole month. The poem specifically focuses on each stage of Ramadan, starting with when the guest of Ramadan enters our home and how you feel towards the month starting, leading on to the importance of the last 10 nights and the night of Laylatul Qadr. It then moves on to how you feel when this guest of Ramadan leaves your home. It's a really powerful poem because it highlights how people feel in Ramadan and getting closer to Allah. Also how sad it is when Ramadan leaves our home and the sadness that people may feel. To overcome this sadness, it's important to really reflect on what actions we can keep throughout the year that we've, like the habits that we formed in Ramadan, and how we can keep them throughout the month to keep Ramadan in our hearts for the rest of the year until it comes around again, alhamdulillah. So the poem is called Ramadan is Here. So this is how it goes. One night I heard a knock on my door. Who can it be? I wasn't quite sure. I open the door and I'm filled with glee. The visitor ahead is no stranger to me. I welcome the guest with utmost delight, for I know it has come to give me respite. An air of happiness fills the space. My home now seems a better place. Have you any clue who this visitor could be? Yes, it's Ramadan, the month of mercy. The pious and righteous can't wait its arrival, while others seem to greet it with waves of denial. For Allah we fast from dusk till dawn. For Him our breath is the fragrance of musk. The Muslims who pray and fast with zest are aware of the rewards this month manifest. Throughout this month we weep and repent. Now is the time to strongly lament. And those who shun this sacred month on the day of reckoning will face the brunt. In this last 10 nights hides a night of decree. Allah then awaits for His slaves to plea. The angels descend with Jibreel in the lead to check out the steadfast and record every deed. A feeling of grief now fills my heart as the month of Ramadan will soon depart. So let's make a start and worship Him alone now that the worth of this month is known.
SubhanAllah.
MashaAllah, is that the end?
Yeah.
That was really lovely. I was wanting more. That's a really powerful one when you think of it as Ramadan as a guest, because literally that's what it is. And over recent years, how quickly is Ramadan just passing us by, right? So now, what's one thing that you want to definitely try and do more of after Ramadan?
Just make sure that I sit down, reflect, and thank Allah for everything that He's given us, and just be grateful.
Yeah.
Making sure that I realise that there's so much more to be grateful for than what meets the eye.
100%. Actually, yeah, gratitude is a big part of, again, contentment, you know, recognising what's in front of us, and really understanding that, you know, these are blessings. Everything's a blessing from Allah, and we should always turn to Him and thank Him, and also ask Him for forgiveness for all our shortcomings, because we could never, ever thank Him enough, right? Jazakallah, thank you so much for sharing that one, Sana, and obviously preparing for it as well. And again, thank you to Dahir and Sana and Bashir, all three of you, for joining me on the last show, and really sort of again demonstrating that you guys are awesome. Okay, we've got a few more minutes, and I think I'm going to go back to this story that I mentioned earlier in the show. Have you heard, Dahir, of the story about potato, eggs, and coffee beans?
No, never heard of it.
Right, pay attention. This is a good one.
Okay.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a daughter, and she was always complaining to her father that her life was miserable, and that she just didn't know how she was going to do anything of importance. She felt she was like tired of fighting and struggling all the time, and it just seemed like when one problem was over, another problem came. Okay. Now, her father was a chef, right? So he took her in the kitchen, and he filled 3 pots with water, and he placed each of them on high heat until they started boiling. Then in one of the pots he added potatoes, in the second pot he added eggs, and in the third pot he added ground coffee beans. Okay. Then he let them sit and he let them boil, and then again the daughter was like moaning and complaining, like, what is the point of all of this? I don't get it. And then when after 20 minutes everything's sort of, you know, boiled and done, he switches off the heat and he takes the potatoes out, takes the eggs out and places them in the bowl, and then he takes out the coffee and places it in a cup. Then he turns to his daughter and he says, "Daughter, what do you see?" And she said, "Potatoes, eggs and coffee." And he said, "Look closer and touch the potatoes." She touched the potatoes and she noticed they were soft. And then he asked her to take the egg and break it. After pulling off the shell, she observed that the hard-boiled egg it wasn't soft, and it was a hard-boiled egg. And then finally he asked her to sip the coffee, and its rich aroma brought a smile to her face, right? Mm-hmm. Then he explained to her that the potatoes, the eggs and the coffee had each faced the same adversity in boiling water. So they were all put in boiling water, right? But each one reacted differently, okay? The potato went in strong, hard and unrelenting, but in the boiling water it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile, with a thin outer shell protecting its liquid interior, But when it was put in the boiling water, the inside of the egg became hard. But the ground coffee beans were unique. Any reason why?
Is it because they adapted and they became richer?
Yeah, you're really in my good books today, getting everything right. They are unique because when they were exposed to the boiling water, they changed the water and created something new. Okay. And then he turned to his daughter and he said, which one are you? Which one are you, daughter? When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean? And so what's the moral of this story, Tahir?
You got to give me that question.
Yes, of course.
The moral of the story. Different people react to things differently. If you take a step back and look at what is happening, maybe you'll
Okay.
I'm stuck.
I won't isolate you completely.
Yeah.
Bashira, what do you think the moral of the story is?
I think it's like you, like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Like, it's going to come to you, but it's up to you on how you react to it. So, like, you could either become weak, let the thing be like the problem, like, make you soft and weak, like the potato, or you can use it like, or it can make you like hard and like strong, or you can take that situation, play it to your own advantage, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And change it. So it's like up to you on how you deal with it.
Brilliant. Okay. And Sana, did you want to add anything else to this?
No, I was going to say what Bashira said.
Yeah, I think you're spot on pretty much. Yeah. In life, things happen around us. And the only thing that truly happens is what happens within us. How are we responding to these challenges that we face in life? And I think this is a really powerful story, particularly for young people. Post-pandemic world, we don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, you guys have already experienced, the impact in your school life and your madrasa life, and obviously in your social circles as well. So there's a lot of things potentially to come, for your generation of young people. So be mindful of this story and remember, you're the potato, the egg, or the coffee bean, right? Because again, we do have choices about how we react and respond to situations around us. But ultimately remembering that no matter how difficult it feels, you're only in that situation because Allah knows you will cope. And that is a really powerful affirmation. It's a big source of my strength sometimes when I'm really struggling, that I'm only in this because Allah knows, like He knows I'm going to get through this, and I just have to deal with it with patience and with strength and recognizing my own limitations, that sometimes it's just not that easy. So there we go. We are now concluding our final show on Ramadan.fm, Leicester. Thank you to everyone that's been listening to our show. Thank you for everyone that's been supporting, outside of the show before we go live. And I just wanted to wish everyone that's listening and all our young people and their families a really blessed last few days of Ramadan. May Allah Pak accept all of our ibadah and all our worship and all our fasting and all our efforts, through volunteering, because again, these are good actions, and allow them to weigh heavy on our scales, inshallah. Just really wanted to end saying that please remember all of us in our du'as. Remember all our brothers and sisters across the world, particularly the plight of the Palestinians at the moment. They are always in our heart. We are always praying for them, but it's even more heartbreaking when it's happening during Ramadan, and we're sitting in the comfort of our own homes whilst they're there protecting. So, one of the most holy sites in Islam. So, remember us all in your du'as, and inshallah we will catch you soon. Inshallah, next Ramadan, inshallah. So, on behalf of all of us, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.